the Peoria preseason ID now. Last Wednesday, it was a week ago from when this episode comes out. Tyler, who was your top arm from the day?
Yeah, for me, this was kind of a no-brainer after just looking through all my notes and our grades. And it's Hunter Long, right-handed arm out of Limestone, a 2027 uncommitted. First thing that's going to pop off the page is this kid's frame. He's 6'7", 187 pounds. But watching his pen, I got starter vibes watching it. He's got three pitches that he's got feel for, can throw all three for strikes. And the way he moves down the mound, like I think more is to come with this kid, especially like in the velocity department. Like it's a true sinker, and he's like already like identified that, like he's not one of these kids. It's like, hey, I got like a four-seam fastball, like he's like, no, I throw a sinker, which, I feel like it's uncommon for that age. But anyway, his sinker's 81 to 84. It's got that hard action to it. And he was consistently throwing that thing at the bottom of the zone, like pounding it right at the knees. Playing off that was like a real changeup at 74 to 76. Had firm downer action. It averaged zero point 0.9 inches IVB, which is pretty absurd. And just overall advanced feel, which to me like fires me up. The changeup was my pitch in college, so like to see high schoolers, which every arm I'm going to touch on, I believe, had like a good changeup at this event, Gavin. So I don't know what you guys are doing out there in Central Illinois, but changeups are certainly making a comeback. But rounding out Long's mix was a curveball at 69 to 73. Had firm action to it. He could throw that for strikes. Like I think the next step for him with that pitch is just trying to, maybe find a little bit more velocity with the breaking ball. But regardless, like this is a guy that I think a lot of schools in the area are going to be keeping tabs on.
Yeah, well, my favorite arm, sticking on that, a little bit different than your guy. You're talking a big 6'7", long levered kid. I'm talking more compact frame, but he's an athlete, and right-handed pitcher Dean Marchand from Dunlap 2028. A kid I loved at this event last year on the mound. The velo continued to tick up at this event. But what I like the most about him is just the mover. It's super loose, super athletic, and he's quick down the mound. And it was a pretty polished pen. His fastball was 82 to 84. He touched an 85 on his last fastball. Has some arm side action at times, and then he throws both a curveball and a slider. And again, like I mentioned earlier at the Lockport event, with Marchand, his curveball and slider have different shapes, which is good. His curveball's a little more like 11.5, while his slider's kind of 10.4, kind of a sweeper. And then he throws his changeup with intent, keeps that arm speed, that fastball arm speed with some fade. But again, with Marchand, I just really like the way that he moves. It's really, really, really loose, and it's easy, and it's athletic. So Dean Marchand, Dunlap, 2028.
We can hop into upside arms here. For me, it's right-handed arm Ty Bachman out of Normal West of 2028. Listen, Normal West already has a guy like Chase Reinhardt over there. I'll be curious to see what type of innings Bachman gets this spring after seeing how well he threw last Wednesday. Like 6'3", 193, again, another long levered frame. A guy that, Hammond, I want to say he was one of your preseason ID picks to click, a few episodes ago. I honestly loved it on the mound. Like another guy, 3 pitches for strikes, giving me that starter profile. Controlled on the mound, like there's like some slight intent to the finish, but it's not like head whackish. Like he's not trying to put everything he's got into every single throw. His fastball was 83 to 84, comes out really good, and like it flashes carry. Like Drew was talking about some carry fastballs earlier. Like he topped out at 20.3 inches of IVB. And then he's got above average spin. He was averaging over 2,300 RPMs on the fastball. His slider was 70 to 71. It was tight. Lateral action, above average spin again on that pitch. He averaged 24.19 RPMs on that. And he was throwing that slider for 80% strikes, which very impressive for a young guy. And then I know I teased it earlier, but a changeup again. 72 to 73. Downer action. He was averaging 3.6 inches of IVB. An advanced feel for it. Like I think that's his best secondary right now. But I think the slider, the shape of the slider to me flashed that it could be, a plus pitch as he gets older. So just a guy after last Wednesday I was kind of buzzing about.
Yeah, and my upside arm from this is a 2029 from Mount Zion. He's a right-handed pitcher, Grayson Buckley. Strong-bodied frame. He's 6'3", 200 pounds, really physically advanced for a freshman in high school right now. And the thing with him, on the mound, it's just very simple. He repeats, and there's not a ton of effort. His fastball is up to 82, and he had arm side run. Showed a slider with a 11.5 shape, and the average IVB was negative 9.9 inches, and then the average horizontal movement was negative 15.6 inches. So pretty good movement on that pitch, and then he threw a changeup as well. Had some fade, and he was working low with it. But again, I just really like the upside, the frame, and there's, I think, a ton more still to come from Grayson. So Grayson Buckley, 2029 from Mount Zion.
Yeah, and then this next topic we're going to get into is a loudest pen, and I'm going to go with right-handed arm Camden Visconti, another uncommitted 2027, this time out of Washington. Workhorse frame, 6'4", 220. His fastball was 85 to 88 this night. He touched an 89. And his very first pitch, it was like one of those where you're like, whoa, like, okay, like, wow. Has some explosion out of the hand. The curveball, 71 to 72, kind of that top to bottom shape. He had feel for it. In the zone, changeup, again, 73, 75, but that one had fade as well. Like, usually, I feel like sometimes you get those guys that have the high velo with the fastball, and maybe the secondaries are a ways behind. And with Camden, like, I felt like he had pretty good feel for both secondary pitches. So a guy I've got my eye on heading into the spring, but looks like he might have swung it well for you, Hammett.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought him up because he was in the mix as someone to talk about just with one of the louder rounds of the day. From an exit velo standpoint, I mean, yeah, he was up to 101.3 for the peak EV, which was one of the top of the day, and he averaged 95. I mean, it's one thing to do it, once or twice throughout a round, and you catch a barrel and you get one really good, but to do it on average like that, and average, show barrel feel and control of the barrel where you're consistently getting good swings off, and people could say it's BP. I mean, our hack attack was. It was not every pitch down the middle that day. So he was having to cover the plate a little bit and still was on the barrel, peaking at 377. So good two-way showing from him. Definitely one of the better ones of the day, if not the best two-way showing.
Yeah, and mine was left-handed pitcher Carson Mitchell, a 2027 from Morton. Dane Poe was with me during this, and he comes up to me. He's like, hey, that's my guy right there. He saw him last spring and really liked him for Morton. But he's an uncommitted arm. Stronger athletic frame, a little more compact, but simple mover. It's quick arm out front again, but the fastball is up to 85 with arm side action, and he looks like a guy to me that is probably just a gamer. His slider, his changeup, both look like pretty good pitches. Shorter action on the slider, 10-4 shape, but it looks like he probably is a guy that can just get outs in game. So a guy for sure he's uncommitted to go check on. And then just one more arm I wanted to mention, not really here in any section, but right-handed pitcher Reed Martin, a 2028 from Washington. He's a tall, wiry upside frame at 6'4", 170, and it's just a simple mover again. Sat low 80s with the fastball, came out clean, arm side action, and he threw both the curveball and a slider. The curveball was more 12-6, while the slider was more 10-4 with sweeping shape, but just a guy to keep an eye on here moving forward. Sophomore there for Washington.
If you guys are good, I'll jump into my guys. I was on hitting all day, so I didn't see any arms. But my first topic I'll get into is upside sleeper. Now, I want to go with Jake Weeks for this one. He was one that we put in the preseason ID, picks to click. The swing and the profile from Georgia, from Lake Point, looked really good, so we were excited to see him in person. And it was exactly what I was hoping for. It was a really clean athletic swing. And you could expect it to get stronger. Like, the exit velo wasn't jumping off the page. And that's what we tell guys, right? It's show us the type of player that you are. You don't need to put up a crazy exit velo for me to like you. You're going to get stronger, right? Show us how you hit. And he was that fluid, handsy, kind of gap to gap type kid where he wasn't trying to just, hat flying off, going pull side, trying to put up a big number. There's a lot of different players out there, and there's a lot of different good types of players, right? You don't need to just be one cookie cutter type kid. and he kind of falls into that category for me. Just one to dream on, like the way it works, and good bloodlines there with Davis too. Now at Michigan State, good two-way guy. Actually, he can pitch it, and he was a really interesting shortstop with the bat.
Let's stick on upside sleepers, Pete. I'm gonna go with Lavin Toll, left-handed pitcher, outfielder from O'Fallon, 2028. First thing I noticed is just like the frame. It's athletic, high-waisted. Looks like he's gonna continue to add quality strength. Really looks the part. Like the first thing he did at Peoria was defense. Love the way he kind of floats around, plays through the baseball, and it's a really loose arm. He topped at 85 from the outfield. Actually, take that back. He topped at 86 from the outfield. He ran a 7.1 360. And then left-handed hitter, kind of sprayed it around, a little lifted approach, 92-mile-an-hour exit velocity. But then I really like the way the arm works on the mound as well. Like, I think there's way more velo to come. It played in the low 80s. But just an underclassman to know from Southern Illinois, O'Fallon, 2028, Lavin Toll. A lot of upside through, like, all parts of his game.
That's a good shout there, because he was one that, we were seeing video of just on X, and we were excited to get him in person. And it definitely, it matched what we were seeing, which was always good. And then I'll jump into Data Darling here with Colin Crumrine from Normal Community, 2028, so an underclassman. But, he was the loudest round of the day, easily. Just visually, the way it sounded and what the TrackMan said. Because not always do those things align. So it was really, made a lot of sense that it actually did, looking back at it. But he peaked at 101.5 and averaged 98. 98's a good peak EV. So to average it is pretty nuts. And he's only a 2028. So, and there's definitely some strength still to come in that frame. So it is not done. He's not going to slow down. But 388 max distance as well, and then he ran a 718, which is more than serviceable for especially that type of power. So just a big fan of him and the round that he took. Just another bat to add to Community's slew that they have, and who knows if he'll actually get on varsity this year. They're pretty loaded, but to have him coming through is a good luxury to have. But a couple of just names that I want to mention. I really like Bradley Jones. Muhammad Seymour, 2028, so another underclassman. He's one that we saw at the Rockathon, and was a performer. Like, he was, there's numerous tweets in his profile from us. Like, he was an in-game standout to our staff. So to see him in showcase now, he's got tools that are measurable that you can see in scout, and then he's also a gamer. So, I like the swing. It's short and uphill, so he's trying to lift the baseball, but he's strong enough to do it. He was up to 98 for the EV. He can match plane. Like, he was covering the top of the zone with ease. So just one to mention there that I really liked. And then Drew, you had your eyes on one of the other louder rounds of the day, so go ahead there.
Yeah, you mentioned Colin Crumrine. I just wanted, averaging 98 off the bat as a 2028 that's pretty advanced. So those, when you check a box like that, that's an outlier. We're gonna have to follow you. But yeah, Mason Phillips from Metamora, 2027. I think the first thing to talk about is just he's a physical specimen at 6'3", 245 pounds. A football player. You go to his X and check out some of his football highlights. Looks like he could be a high follow defensive lineman type. I saw him chasing down some quarterbacks. Which is always good to see, a guy built like that can move. But it's just super loud. 71.8 mile per hour average bat speed, 23 mile per hour average hand speed, which was kind of top of the scales when you look at our performance tiers and profiles and at the event. And then he averaged 90 off the bat during his BP. He peaked at 100. But just one of those guys that you just don't make 2027s look like that. Really makes the bat look small. Guy from Central Illinois, we're going to follow. Who knows where his future will be, whether it's on the baseball field, football field, but he's a physical specimen, one to watch out of Metamora.
100%. One of the scariest rounds of the day. I would have not wanted to be behind that L screen feeding him, because that very well could have broken. But one more guy to mention for me, another underclassman. There was a lot of good 28s from the day, but Caleb Zellers from Hayworth made the trip over. Now, he was probably, there was a ton of loud rounds, like we've already talked about, but maybe my favorite of the day, just polish-wise, was from him. Left-handed hitter, just consistent backspin up the middle with ease, and there was some loudness to it. It was 98 miles an hour. Just one of the last hitters to go, so a nice way to end the day. But it was really clean, really simple, and strong, and balanced, which is important too. I mean, I know it's BP, but still, just to show the feel of the hit, stood out to me. One to follow for sure.
Well, and I think what you mentioned there is something we're all looking for. Like, yeah, we run these showcases and we're getting, we're collecting a ton of data and, measurables and athletic testing, but like we're looking at the way the swing works because that's an indicator of how that's going to play in game. So the balance, the rhythm, the fluidity, the ease, the approach, like those are all huge, huge indicators. I'm like, okay, this 98 mile per hour exit velocity versus somebody else's. It's how do you get to that exit velocity? Um, what kind of swing is it? How does the body flow? How does it work? How stiff it is? Is it? How efforty is it?